Hi there, my name is Lavanya. I'm going to walk you through a very important text which is called as Saiva Siddhanta text called as Unmai Vilakkam. One disclaimer that I want to give before we start with this discussion is I am neither Tamil literature trained nor English literature trained, but I have a very good intention or very good interest in this particular text. I learnt this, I enjoyed word by word, line by line, and I enjoyed the blissful state which is suggested in this particular book. So my intentions, just only one intention I have, which is to share it with you guys. If any one of you is an literature trained person, I would request you guys to take this forward to the next level with a proper translation, with a proper words used in order to get the meaning across straight. So in this particular speech, I may not have used the right text or I may not have used the right words, but I'll try to, even with beating around the bush, I'll try to explain as much as possible in a much simplified manner, and if I'm not using the right words there, please pardon me for that. Now let's start. The first text that we are going to talk about is Unmai Vilakkam. Literally translated as we are explaining the real thing. We are explaining the real being. Unmai means the real. Vilakkam means description. So we are describing the real thing that is there in this world or in this planet. So what are these texts? Basically, let me talk a little bit about the basics of this. There are 14 sacred texts which talks about Saiva Siddhanta. And when you're talking about the 14, we classify those 14 into 3 categories. One is that you need to know as a basic, like foundation level. So there are few texts which is going to be at a foundational level. Unmai Vilakkam is actually part of the foundational level text. The next one will be a little bit detailed, where we need to do a little bit of research. In order to understand it, we can do a lot of research and we can prove it, or at least we will be able to logically infer the meaning. That is the second level. And the third one is purely experiential. So we will start experiencing the blissful state. So we need to cross these 3 in order to fully understand the crux of Saiva Siddhanta. So what I'm going to do now is start with the foundation or the fundamental building block of Saiva Siddhanta, which is the very first text, which is called as Unmai Vilakkam. This particular book, which is called as Unmai Vilakkam, is written by a person called Mana Vasagam Kadandar. Literally translated as someone who has gone beyond the mind and words. If you look at it, whatever we are able to speak up, whatever we are able to talk, whenever we are uttering a single word, it is coming from whatever we are seeing around the world, which is basically made out of sound waves and breathing and words and mouth. So if you look at it, this is all taken based on the basic tattvam. We call it as the tattvas are basically made of, there are 36 tattvas, which is what we are going to cover in this text. Just give me some time, we will go through that in detail. So those are called as the elementary level. Now when you talk about Manam means mind. Mind is nothing but based on the living thing. So you need to cross the minds and you need to cross the words in order to achieve the blissful state. When I keep talking, I will not be able to enjoy the bliss. When I'm staying in my mind level, I will not be, because we all know mind just keeps wandering and wavering around everything and anything. Today I'm sitting in Singapore, but my mind is already in US. So if you look at it, our mind keeps wandering everywhere and anywhere. So how are we going to keep this in control? Of course, we cannot keep in control. We need to go beyond that. Going beyond that is what is expected as part of this particular text, and that is what we are going to talk about or discuss in 53 songs, individual songs. When you talk about the author's name, Mana Vasagam Kadandar, in a lot of sacred texts, like for example 12th Tirumurai, 10th Tirumurai, 8th Tirumurai, we have been seeing this word extensively as a synonymous name for Lord Shiva. Shiva is called as Manavasagam Kadandar. So he has gone beyond, he is beyond our existence. So we need to go beyond this existence in order to realize him. And that is what this particular author's name is giving us as a clue. So which means we are going to talk about this particular text to talk about how to go beyond this mind, how to go beyond this existence in order to realize Lord Shiva or the Almighty, right? So this is a short introduction. We are going to start with the actual text right now. We are starting with the very first song, which is called as just to pray or worship the elephant god in order to make it more clear, because when we are reading a text we need to read it or understand it or perceive it in the right manner. Whenever we have a doubt, say for example I'm talking about something, and when we have a doubt it means the clear mindset is still not there. Alternatively, we can have misinterpretations. So in order to eliminate our misinterpretations and eliminate our doubts, we need to first seek for the Almighty's guidance so that whatever we are reading is perceived in the right manner, in the right sense. So here we bow down to the Almighty as usual to get his blessings so that we are able to perceive the content, the 53 songs that has been suggested for us. We are going to go through the content and we are requesting his guidance so that we can perceive it in the right manner. So with that, I'm going to start with the very first song, which is Vanmai Tharum Agamanul Vaitha Porul Varuva Unmai Vilakkam Urai Seyya Tin Madam Ser Andi Nira Tandi Muga Tondi Vayit Traingaranai Pandamara Pundiyul Vaipam. You look at the rhythmic way of writing. I really get mesmerized with these Tamil texts because of the beautiful rhythmic approach sometimes. Honestly, if you are a Tamil literate person, I would suggest read through in the original text. You will really find a lot of interesting, you will start falling in love with the concept, honestly. But unfortunately, if you are not a Tamil literature trained person or even have no idea about Tamil, then at least you can be satisfied that you have got a chance to hear this for the first time at least. Now let's look at this. Vanmai Tharum Agamanul Vaitha Porul Varuva Unmai Vilakkam Urai Seyya. If you look at this, it's a very, very simple way to look at it. Whenever we talk about realization, how are we going to get this realization? Only with his blessings, Almighty's blessings. So when we talk about the self-realized situation, it can happen only when we realize that there are three things and understanding the three things in the right manner. That is more important. Okay, now what are the three things? I've been talking, now you may ask a question, Lavanya, you have been talking about the three things right from for so many, almost like 5 minutes. What are the three things? Simple way to look at it is, the three things are, the first one is the Almighty. We call it as Padi. These are some of the sacred terminologies that we need to know. So I'm just going to use the same terminologies because you will be seeing these in the future songs. Padi, which is Irai or Padi, which is called as the Almighty. Almighty is called as Padi. The second one is Pasu. Pasu literally means here as something that has been tied. What is that has been tied? We. not only human beings but also trees or animals or plants or any kind of living being. And are we tied up? You may feel, wow, I'm an independent person, I'm a person who enjoys freedom. How can you say we are tied up? Of course we are all tied up. We are all slaves of this body. Our capacity is limited to this body. Can we fly like a bird? Obviously no. We need to have extra fittings in order to fly. Can we swim like a fish? Yes, we can. But can we stay like a fish within the waters? We cannot. We need to come up and then go down. So, which means we are not having the 100% freedom yet. We are bound by this body, and this body is which has tied. Trees, it has life, but it is tied to the body which is called as a tree trunk. Fish has a body, and the freedom is limited to that. So when you look at it, whatever that has been tied up, whatever has been tied up with some form or the other, that is what we call it as a pasu. Pasu means it has been tied up. Living beings, we have so many numbers in this world, that is why we cannot count it. It is infinity. The third one is, I would love to call this as temptations, which is called as pasam. Something that is tempting us. What are the areas that is tempting us? Our ego is tempting us. Whether we like it or not, that is the truth. Our ego is tempting us. Our ignorance is tempting us. The bodily attractions, the earthly attractions, that is tying up. So when you look at it, the temptations are something that is limiting our freedom. So there are three things that you need to be aware of when we understand Saiva Siddhanta. The first one is basically called as Padi, which is God Almighty. The second one is Pasam, which is called as the temptations, and the third one is the living beings, which is basically tied with something or the other, and all we realized is we are being tied with this particular body. So our freedom, our limitation is along with this particular bodily affair itself. So if you look at it, these are the three things. Now let's go back to the song. Vanmai tharum agama nool vaitha porul valuva, which means we need to attain self-realization. In order to attain self-realization, we need to understand the three things, and the real meaning of the three things must be very clear. And how and who has given us the three things, that is based on the agamas. Veda and agamas are two different texts that we are talking about. Veda is for everyone. Anyone can read Veda, but once they are well versed in Vedas, only then they can get into agamas. Not everyone can get into agamas. Even if they get in, they will not be able to understand. What are the agamas talking about? The three things. And as per the text that is given in agamas, there are the three things which we need to, one living being must understand in order to achieve self-realization. That is what this first two lines are talking about, which the next two lines are talking about asking for the God's guidance in such a way that I am able to understand or perceive the text in the right manner. Thin Madam said, because we are talking about the elephant god. When you say elephant god, we need to have a clarity that this is the most fundamental element of this world. Gana means atom. Let's look at it in a scientific manner. Gana means atom. Ganapati means the one who controls the atoms. So he is the one who controls the atoms, which is the entire universe. So we are actually asking, seeking his blessing. And how is he looking like? He is like an elephant with 5 hands. Why we say 5 hands is basically there are 4 hands and the trunk is taken as one of the hand as well. So there are 5 counts, and he has a very big stomach, because when you talk about a big tummy, it represents how should I put it? It represents abundance. according to Chinese culture also, they talk about abundance, right? So the big tummy talks about the abundance, and which is, his color is so beautiful, it looks as if he's in a golden color. So that kind of an elephant god, when I pray to him and I request his presence in my thoughts, I will be able to understand the text without any misinterpretations or without any doubts. This is what the first song is giving us. Honestly, if you are asking me to explain this in Tamil, I think you would have gotten a lot more information. But since English is not my native language, and I'm trying to explain because I'm not an English literate person as well, so that is why there is a little bit of limitations. Please bear with me. But my suggestion is, if you are an English literate person, please take this to the next level. I'll come back again tomorrow with the next song. Until then, bye bye. Tiruchitrambalam.